Chapter 5, 154. Coming Clean. On the way back to the sanctuary, Sunny tried to impart as much knowledge about the Chained Isles as he could to Kai and Effie. The archer, in particular, needed to go through a tough adjustment. His main combat tool was his ability to fly, which was obviously restricted in this strange land. Looking at the clear blue sky with a bit of trepidation, Kai asked, "So, that crushing, how deadly is it?" Sunny grimaced. "Deadly enough to kill a saint, but it is also situational. After a bit, you'll develop a sense of how high or low the island you're standing on is. When it is at its lowest point, like right now, you will probably be able to rise several hundred meters into the air before feeling any pressure. The exact margin depends on how long the chains of the island are." He paused, then continued. "However, when it is ascending or descending, you'd better either stay on the ground or not fly more than a dozen meters up. And if it has already reached the peak, well, you really should have already escaped to another island. But if you failed to do that in time, lay on the ground and pray. If the chains are short enough, you will survive." Kai studied the sky above some more, then looked down. "What about below the islands? Can I fly freely there?" Sunny nodded. "Theoretically, yes. The sky below is generally safe, there's just nothing there. But that is only true for its depths. The underside of the islands is actually much more dangerous than their surface. The creatures that dwell there are the true horrors of this place. Some of them stay put. Some move through the darkness as they hunt and migrate between islands. So flying under the islands is lethal in its own way." Effie was less concerned with the crushing, since her mighty constitution allowed her to withstand it on par with someone like Master Roan, or Sunny himself. She was, however, very interested in all the kinds of nightmare creatures that populated the region. The huntress was determined to finish saturating her core in the month left before their departure. Sunny shared all the knowledge he had about the inhabitants of the Chained Isles. He had spent many months fighting local abominations, so he knew a lot. Which creatures frequented which island, how they attacked their prey, what their weaknesses were, and so on. He also knew which islands had to be avoided at all costs. By the end of their journey, even Effie seemed impressed by the amount of knowledge he had accumulated. I guess the Academy doesn't pay you for nothing. You really did do a lot of research." Sunny grinned. "When I hunt nightmare creatures, I get to sell their shards, and also get paid by the research faculty. So much money. Ain't it a dream?" She giggled. "The wonderful thing about you, Sunny, is that you are very easy to please." What is that supposed to mean?" Effie, meanwhile, looked east and asked with a bit of tension. "What about the saint who rules this region? What's your opinion of her?" Sunny thought for a bit, then said with uncertainty, "Skytide. She is a bit of a recluse. I don't really know. But her husband is a really decent guy, so that earned her some points in my book." Effie smiled lightly and didn't continue the conversation. On the third day, they finally reached the sanctuary. Due to how high profile both Raised by Wolves and Nightingale were, the trio was invited to have a meal with St. Tyrus before visiting the gateway. The dinner was pleasant enough, but when the plates turned empty, the real conversation began. St. Tyrus looked at Effie and Kai with her usual expressionless severity and asked, "I was surprised to hear that 2 more of the most brilliant awakened of the new generation had decided to visit my remote and unremarkable citadel. If you forgive my bluntness, to what do I owe the pleasure?" The 3 of them glanced at each other. They had discussed what to say in advance. At this point, there was no reasonable way to keep their intention secret, so it was easier to just let the cat out of the bag. Kai smiled politely before answering. That smile of his was charming enough to make a crowd of women faint on the spot. But Skytide did not even blink. "We came here with the intention of challenging a nightmare seed. Sunny, awakened, sunless, discovered one not too long ago. Since the seed is years away from blooming and doesn't pose a threat to the waking world at the moment, he didn't inform you. Please forgive him that transgression." Master Roan frowned. "There is a seed on the Chained Isles." "Where?" Effie pointed down. "To reach it, we'll have to descend into the depths of the sky below. Song of the Fallen will also be joining us. We plan to use that ancient ship the Firekeepers are repairing." Rowan blinked a couple of times. Well, how extravagant. At least that explains a few things, I guess. Sayet Tiris lingered for a few moments, then asked evenly, Are you sure that you want to enter a second nightmare? It has been less than a year since the four of you awakened. Most people take much more time to prepare for the rigors of the spell's trial, and even then, many don't survive. A wild smile appeared on Effie's face. Sure? Yes, I guess we are sure, as much as anyone can be. The decision to challenge the seed was not made rashly, nor was it based on blind ambition. You are right, of course, but the circumstance of our awakening was not ordinary. Even though it only happened recently, between the four of us, we already share a decade of battle experience. And the battles we fought were not soft. Skytide did not answer immediately, turning her face away to look at the vista of the chained isles. Kai cleared his throat. Are you going to try and dissuade us, my lady? Tiris remained silent for a few moments, then slowly shook her head. No. If four awakened with the SSA designation want to challenge a nightmare seed, they must know what they're doing. Your timing is actually good as well. Sunny frowned slightly. Good timing? What does she mean? But Skytide wasn't going to elaborate. Instead, she looked at Effie and asked, When do you leave? The huntress shrugged. Cassie and Sunny have an errand to run in the Night Temple, so we'll depart as soon as they return. Tiris shifted her gaze to Sunny. Was he imagining things? Or did her expression become darker? You are going to the Night Temple, Sunless. He nodded. Yes, it is a part of our preparations. Why? The beautiful saint remained silent for a few moments, then said simply, Be careful to strictly follow the rules while you're there. Sunny politely agreed. Inwardly, though, he was a bit disturbed. Well, that did not sound ominous at all. Cassie, too, had seemed a bit apprehensive about the Night Temple. Just what kind of a place was it?